Welcome to Around the Blockchain, brought to you by presend.io. It's going to be a fantastic episode. We're talking about the looming government shutdown. That's right, with the debt ceiling coming up. Also, Celsius is being charged with being a Ponzi. Do you have any CEL token? And also huge gains across the metaverse. What meta tokens are we looking at? Meta tokens maybe in your portfolio, and why are they pumping? It's going to be a great episode. Let's get right into it. Coming live from the Matrix. Maybe they're using his body for thermal heat. We don't know. It is Sin City Crypto. How are you doing today?
I'm great. Thanks for having. Get out of here. No one wants to see.
Wait, was that Agent Smith?
I cannot get away from this guy.
All right. Then we have Ox Stacker. I always like to call him 0x, but he's Ox, and I'm going to respect that. Ox Stacker, also known as Forrest. How are you doing today, Forrest?
Doing well. Thanks for having me on.
All right. They call him the Dimples of Web3. Always great to have you on. And Vic Laranja, always great having you on here with your professional background. BJ wouldn't shut up about that guitar in your background. What kind of guitar you got back there?
It's a Les Paul.
That's a Gibson Les Paul.
All right. Okay. Apparently, BJ already knew. I apologize that. I'm sorry, BJ. I didn't mean to diminish your acoustic knowledge. That's not an acoustic. It's electric.
It's electric.
All right. Like I said, we're going to talk about the debt ceiling here. Let me just kind of share a few facts. One, I actually didn't know U.S. was one of the few countries that actually limits how much they can spend and how much they can borrow. A lot of developing countries, it's an infinity symbol when it comes to one of these things. But we take it a little bit more seriously. Some of the older viewers might recall the impending shutdown of 2011, how scary it was, how big of an event. Everyone talking about the postal workers aren't going to be there, census takers, just everything across the board. And now they're saying the debate is over our $31.4 trillion, with the T, $31.4 trillion debt ceiling. And veterans of that battle, though, are saying times are a little bit different. In 2011, there's only 1 out of the 4 Republicans currently serving were in the House back then. I would not have guessed 75% are fresh faces. And now it's a little bit of a slighter edge with the House Republicans. They are only leading the House 222 to 212. So very, very close there. Now, I'm gonna bring it to you first, Vic. Maybe not as old as me, but I recall how scary the debt ceiling was back then. And then we had a couple scares, after that. And it seemed like our fear level just diminished every time. The first time we heard about the government's going to shut down, it was this very scary thing. What's going to happen? Will the stoplights quit working? It was just a lot of uncertainty. But then, okay, it was a big nothing burger. And then they threatened it again. We cared a little bit. They threatened it again. We cared even less. And now they're threatening it again. I mean, does it play an important role in the economy, this debt ceiling, or is it a lot of political theater?
Well, really, it's theoretical. It's really just an invisible rule, a goalpost that they can move whenever they want. They can create money out of thin air. They did it. They do it. They're still doing it, right? Like 2020 to 2021, they created from the M1 money supply 80% of all funds ever printed. Right. So that's an enormous amount of money that just jumped into the system just because they thought we needed it. That's where a lot of this debt is coming on, is because that they're creating it. Right. And then they're using it for whatever programs that they think they need. Massive infrastructure bill being talked about for the last year. And, they're just going to keep creating reasons to print money. Ukraine, obviously, another huge expense for the United States right now. And you can have many different political opinions about if they should or if they shouldn't support Ukraine. But at the end of the day, the United States government is, and they're sending billions and billions of dollars over there. But it's funny because like Biden in the same sentence will say, we're out of money, we're broke, but we need to send money over to Ukraine. So it's just, I think it's all theatrics. They can literally print money if they want. They say there's a debt ceiling. But have we hit the ceiling and actually used it as a ceiling? No. So I would say that there really actually isn't a debt ceiling.
We're out of money abroad, but when it comes to, sending it overseas, there's still a little gas left in the tank. And in fact, let's just send them a bunch of tanks. Why not? It all makes sense here. Now, Sin City Crypto, last time Bitcoin, the subsequent 2011, too new, but the subsequent debt ceiling, it didn't really do too much to Bitcoin's price in the long term. But do you think they'll change how the U.S. looks at just debt in general? And could they increase our debt ceiling, which maybe on a long time scale does lead value to Bitcoin as maybe being a global currency? Do you think that is this just a forever raise? Is it going to be 40 trillion and then 50 trillion? Are we going to be looking at 100 trillion? And does that do anything for Bitcoin's price, you think?
Well, back in 2011, Bitcoin was so new that, really nothing moved the price of Bitcoin, but they're never going to stop raising the debt ceiling. I mean, there was talks of them actually getting rid of the debt ceiling and letting the government print unlimited money. And so what people got to understand is this. Debt is how this country runs. We bring in less money than we owe. Okay. So if you take a look at a financial report of the US, we are so far upside down. And in my opinion, we are never getting out of this debt. The only way you get out of this debt is by going to war. And so I don't see any scenario where the US will default because if they don't raise the debt ceiling and the US defaults, uh, like think about the reverberations that's going to have on the economy. As far as Bitcoin, I don't think it'll make the US look at something like Bitcoin. I think it'll make other countries look at something like Bitcoin. I mean, we're already seeing it with Russia and China and Russia, China, India with the BRICS, where they're essentially creating a new reserve currency that's backed by commodities. Now, I'm not sure if Bitcoin is part of that now, but I believe it will be. And so if you take a look at these countries, there's over 60% of countries' balance sheet has US dollars on it. And so if you take a look at, all right, the US, there's a chance they're going to default and they're not holding US reserves on their US dollars. What are they going to be holding? They're not going to be holding the Chinese yuan. They're not going to be holding the Russian ruble. They're not going to be holding the Japanese yen or euros. They're going to look at hard money like Bitcoin. And so, but whether you live in the US or not, you should not be rooting for the US at default. You should be rooting for them to raise a debt ceiling. This happens every single time. You have one side of the aisle that uses it as a negotiating chip. The other side comes in and says, we need to raise a debt ceiling. Joe Biden came out and said, if there's any sort of rebuttal from the Republicans or they try to sneak something in there to where, okay, we'll agree to a debt ceiling raise only if you do X, Y, and Z. Biden said he's not having any of that, but he might not have a choice. And so that's kind of where we stand. But as far as the debt ceiling continue to go up, it will continue to go up. You're right. 30 trillion, 50 trillion, 100 trillion. It's just never going to stop until something catastrophic happens or there's war or something like that.
I would agree. And I am reading the comments. Drew Z88, DZ is tired from DCAing too much. Never, but this is like my fifth show / interview of the day. So that's been a long one, but that's, Ben's gone. Hey, DZ has to pick up the slack here. Forrest, I tend to agree with Sin City's assessment there that, maybe other countries might be looking at, an alternative to US dollar, especially settling payments for oil or, large scale transactions, sovereign nation to sovereign nation. But what about on a republic level? We have 50 states with 50 different state treasuries with 50 different ambassadors overseeing that, 50 different treasurers overseeing that. Do you think you can see it on a state level? Will a Florida, Texas, Wyoming maybe start investing in maybe diversifying their funds a bit into Bitcoin? And do you also agree with maybe countries are going to do the same?
Potentially at the state level. And I think it's actually something that could be popular, especially in Republican states for certain Republican senators to run on, or, state elected officials to run on. This whole idea of, hey, the US dollar, they're printing it out of thin air. It's not hard money. I could see some people getting elected on that narrative. We already kind of see some senators and some state elected officials kind of supporting Bitcoin. But what was the other part of the question? Sorry.
Do you see it happening? Do you think that countries are going to maybe start settling, no more USD petrodollars, but maybe do Bitcoin when it's Russia and Iran, for instance?
Yeah, absolutely. I do think so. Russia and Iran are already in talks about creating a gold-backed stablecoin or a gold-backed commodity-backed cryptocurrency, as David already mentioned. But what I think we're seeing in the entire world right now is deglobalization. And I do think that we need to rein in our expectations. I know like Bitcoin maxis love to live in what I refer to as a fantasy land of like Bitcoin is with 100% certainty going to be the global reserve currency. It's going to be the number one asset in the world. Maybe, but I would say Probably not. I think it's going to be a niche asset that has its place, much like oil does not, have a market cap that encapsulates the entire world, much like the Russian ruble does not encapsulate the entire world global economy, just like the US dollar, despite being the world reserve currency. We're seeing it weaken a little bit, pull back after this kind of dollar milkshake theory played out. And we saw a lot of other stuff move out. But so I do think crypto and blockchain technology will have its space. But I think as the dollar kind of weakens, and this is something that Charlie Munger's come out and talked quite a bit about, he thinks that the biggest bet over the next 50 years is just betting on the dollar losing value over time. I do think that there will be use cases for Bitcoin, for blockchain technology, for trade, but I don't think it's just going to swallow the entire world. I just don't think it's the appropriate asset to use as the end all be all financial asset. That makes sense.
I think Bumpet in the chat has it. Egg will have its own coin, so I think Egg coin will be the default reserve currency. If this price action just continues, I'm getting 2011 Bitcoin vibes, y'all. I'm getting those 2011 Bitcoin vibes with eggs right now. Just letting y'all know. Now, Sin City, let me kind of pose that question to you. If 50 states, 50 treasurers, if there was a state, just hey, I'm on the forefront. We're putting 10% of our treasury into Bitcoin. We're diversifying out of, say, the US dollar. What's that first state going to be?
Well, we've already kind of seen it, right? I believe Texas was one of them. And there was another one. I believe it was either Wyoming or one of the other states. But I mean, think about the states that have been pro Bitcoin, have been pro crypto. And a lot of those are red states. And I'm not taking any political sides here, but just a matter of the fact. And so I can see Florida doing it. You could see something like the Midwest states do it. Texas obviously is another one that's been doing it. And so why not, right? Why not? What else are you putting on there? Why not diversify a little bit? We tell all of our viewers to diversify. We tell ourselves to diversify. Why not tell the states? Why not tell the country to diversify a little bit?
All right, and I'm actually learning in the chat. There is an egg coin. Don't buy egg coin. I was joking, like someone might buy it. DZ said it's the reserve currency. Hey, I just lost all my ETH. What happened? All right. Now, Vic, I'll pose the same question. Just real quick. What state do you think would be first?
Yeah, Texas came to mind first.
Yeah.
They've been pretty active with like mining and different components of blockchain. So I would say Texas as well.
Yeah, and they have as far as I remember, they have released a bill, just didn't get out of the floor. I'm sure the big money, the people who actually control the checkbook said, no, I don't think so. I actually think BJ put up, we have a live look at the House of Representatives right now. They are discussing the debt ceiling. I don't know if we could pull up. This is live. This just happened. So, all right. Yes. It's very, very new there. Forrest, besides Texas,
and guys,
what do you think? Or go ahead.
Just real quick. It's important to note, guys, Congress is making strides here. Ted Cruz did just announce a bill that all vending machines will now have to take cryptocurrency. And so we're making some headway here, guys. So from now on, politicians, Congress people can buy Lay's chips or Gatorade with cryptocurrency if the bill
You just have to wait 10 minutes for the Coke to drop out of the machine. I kid, it's lightning. Forrest, besides Texas, what do you think the state would be? Would it be Florida or Wyoming, you think?
Oh, Wyoming is pretty progressive. And if I'm not mistaken, it's Senator Lummis out there that's pretty pro crypto. I could be wrong on that. Don't quote me. Lummis. Yeah. But then also you do have Florida, and Miami is a crypto hotbed. So as far as like the most crypto progressive like cities go, you have Austin, Texas is a hub. New York kind of, but then they have like super strict financial laws up there. Then Miami's becoming a hotbed for crypto adoption as well. So those are kind of the three. I think you nailed it there. Austin, Texas, Miami, Florida, and then Wyoming are all pretty progressive areas when it comes to crypto.
And we don't bother saying a Wyoming town. Well, you got Cheyenne and what? Huh? Has anyone even been there? Does it even exist? If it weren't for Charles Hoskinson, I think it's fake. All right, let's talk about Celsius token, though. The Cell token was proved to be a Ponzi, is what they're saying. I'm just going to pull up Cell here. Celsius, CEL, still 150 on market cap here, down 6% on the news. All right, I hope you're sitting down. We're going to hit the max thing. This is the full price history. Not as bad as I was honestly expecting. I don't know. Let's wait here because it started. All right, 3 cents, 4 cents, topped out, $8, getting close to 10. Currently coming in at 50 cents. So there's worse DeFi tokens out there for sure. But they're saying they used investor money and customer deposits to prop up its own Cell token. I was looking at some of the numbers. They're saying $550 million of market buys to help prop up, and then they were paying things in Cell token. And meanwhile, they were actively telling the community, hey guys, this is just gaining on its own. All right, this is all natural. That wasn't me hitting that giant. See that green candle? It wasn't us. It wasn't us. That wasn't our 0x wallet. Well, 0x Stacker, what are you thinking of this news? You know, isn't this just par for the course? Should we be looking at this any differently? I thought all exchanges did this.
I do think in their kind of their plans and their roadmap, they were open about having some sort of open market buyback program for Celsius token. Although it sounds like the allegations here are that they were using customer deposits rather than profits to do that. So obviously that's an issue, and I think that classifies it into a Ponzi scheme. We were talking earlier, I think, on the Sin City Crypto. I was in the chat earlier on their live stream today. And it's kind of like, you know, when somebody's into a multi-level marketing scheme and they're like, it's not a pyramid scheme, it's a inverse funnel operation. It's kind of like that. It's like a Ponzi scheme, but they were probably just calling it or referring to it as in like an open market buyback program or whatever it was. I mean, ultimately, this was just wrong on so many levels. Beyond being a Ponzi scheme, it was essentially what they were running is like an unregistered hedge fund, taking customer deposits and just running super risky DeFi strategies. And it all just goes back to like Terra Luna as well. You're getting 20% on Terra Luna and you're offering 17% to your customers and just keeping the difference. And then when Terra Luna went bust, obviously the downstream effects of that just blew up everything.
Say that one more time. What was that funnel system called again? It's just an inverted funnel system.
Inverse funnel marketing system or something.
Inverse funnel marketing. All right, I like an inverse funnel system. Just reminds me, I'd make those gravity things in your bathtub when you're in college. You know, you screw the little thing on top. Anyways, that's I digress here. Now I'm looking at some of the sells, Sin City Crypto. Mashinsky, between 2018 and the bankruptcy filing, he sold a little bit. He sold a few tokens. Just $68 million worth. You know, that's all. Just so he sold 68 million, and a co-founder. Yeah, he what do you mean he didn't get 100 million? David Leon, he sold almost 10 million. It was $9.7 million worth of the token. Do you think that there's going to be criminal? I know you're not a lawyer. This isn't legal advice, but do you think that there's going to be criminal charges brought against them? More so in the let's make an example out of this group, because Sam Bankman might take years and years and years, whereas hey, this we could probably wrap up in 2.
I do, and I'm going to point to one thing. It is the press release that Joe Biden, that the White House released, and in it specifically said crypto entities that mislead customers. And if this isn't a case of misleading customers, telling people days before you knew you had to shut withdrawals down, knowing you're insolvent, telling them everything's fine, guys, turn on hodl mode, don't touch your money for 6 months, and on the back end they're funneling money out, knowing they're going to go bankrupt. And so, yes, they should. Alex Mashinsky is a fraud, not as bad as well. You can argue equally bad as Sam Bankman-Fried, but yes, he should go to jail, and they are going to make an example of him, which they should. And I think the most important thing that people in our space realize is a difference between CeFi and DeFi, right? In the article that was sent over, it talked about borrow and lending moving forward and yield. I don't think that's dead. I think that in the form of a centralized entity like a Celsius, like a BlockFi, I think those are dead. But the true decentralized platforms like Aave, like Compound, I think those can still thrive, where you keep your keys, you keep your crypto, everything is done and executed on a smart contract. There's no middleman, a person like Alex Mashinsky handling your money. And at the end of the day, this was a Ponzi scheme. When you use customer funds to funnel money back in to pay old investors, which was Alex Mashinsky and the other co-founder, which they were withdrawing money. And yeah, they should go to jail. They should get the hammer dropped on them. Make an example out of them. I'd be completely happy. What infuriates me is Alex Mashinsky has the gall to feel like it's okay to come back on Twitter. It's okay to give his opinions on certain things. This dude should be completely blackballed from the crypto community. Anytime anyone ever sees him tweet something, we should be attacking this guy. He does not deserve any voice, any presence in our space. He is done for. And I pray to God, if he ever launches another project, people will never buy into it because he doesn't deserve it.
All right. Yeah, I agree. I think they are going to be looking to make a target out of this man and just say, hey, better not do this. Yeah, I mean, that is a lot. 68.7. I'll round up, $69 million. He pulled out 69. Some are going to chat. Nice. It's not nice. It's not a nice thing. And he's probably, hey,
Not
what's
nice.
69 million amongst friends? That guy stole 100 million. And I will double the sentiments on Aave. I think the DeFi is going to be the way to go. If you look, FTX, they had to pay back the decentralized contracts. Meanwhile, the good old handshake deals, they're still, hey, waiting for their funds. But speaking of waiting for their funds, Vic, I've been open about it. I have 2 ETH on there. It was more of an experiment for me. I was like, all right, I'll test out 2 ETH. Nothing crazy here. I don't even know what ETH was at the time, probably 3K. So at the time, yeah, he got me for $6,000. But there's people with their entire life savings on there. We have someone in the office. He put his entire life savings on there. They're wondering, can I claw back any money? I mean, do you have any predictions on there? Are they going to get a percentage? What would that percentage look like? Is it 99 cents on the dollar, 3 cents on the dollar? Or is this going to be a situation where, like, hey, Mount Gox 10 years later almost still waiting?
It's tough to make an accurate prediction about like the numbers, if there are any left, really, because I think personally, I fully agree, Ponzi scheme. All the money that was being withdrawn from any users when you could, that was just money that was just a big part of the pool. Celsius was just so completely mismanaged. They had massive holes in their balance sheets, like enormous craters in their balance sheets that they can't even account for that money even at this point. I heard some really scary rumors about how they manage people's money, and I really do think it comes down to DeFi versus CeFi. Completely agree with Sin City Crypto on that point. And I was actually just in Miami at Quantum, which is a DeFi event, and I met Ben there as well. And I was moderating a panel that was the topic, was essentially CeFi versus DeFi, and I had a couple DeFi founders on there. One of them was from Folks Finance, which is the biggest DeFi protocol on Algorand. And we talked about this exact thing. Like, is CeFi going to ever make a comeback after just such a terrible year? And I really don't see a place for it, to be completely honest. It's just a bank without regulations. Because what is a bank really? You're going to them, giving them your money. They're promising you a smaller yield than, like 20%, like Luna was giving on Anchor Protocol. But it's really people manage money. But then there's no regulation, and there's also no safety net. Like with a bank, at least you have the FDIC, or you have the CDIC in Canada, where I'm from. And then also, like, you have the whole bailout system too, which, if a bank goes under, Congress bails it out, taxpayers pay for it. Cool. The customers are made whole. In a centralized finance platform, there's none of that. And that's what we saw with the handful of CeFi platforms like BlockFi, Gemini, Voyager, Celsius. It was just one after another, domino, because that system of taking people's money, being super risky with it, and then expecting a return and expecting things to balance out, that system at its core is flawed. Now, DeFi, on the other hand, is not flawed. It's code that you can audit, that you can't mess with, because it's a smart contract. Only the people who created the smart contract can go and make updates to it. But it's code, so you can't screw with it. Totally transparent. And you're not going to have this code go and start sneaking funds off, or take out $69 million to go fund their real estate and their yacht and whatever else these founders did throughout this time. So I completely agree pretty much with everything Sin City Crypto said. He's a fraud. All of these founders are frauds. They just found an infinite money glitch and milked it. And I don't think we're going to see a resurgence of CeFi. I think it's if we do, it's going to be called something else. But
all right, yeah.
DeFi is just how we have to go forward.
Yeah, the good old infinite money glitch. You see that pop up every now and then, crypto, the infinite total value lock glitch. I remember the two brothers. Hey, borrow to borrow to borrow to borrow. Hey, look at all this total value locked. It's just so incredible. All right, let's talk about Metaverse.
Hey,
yeah, go ahead.
Can I just add something before we move on?
Yeah,
To
yeah.
Vic's point, he talked about they don't, they're not. No. I already gave Alex my message. But to what Vic said, as far as the FDIC thing, if you guys remember, Custodia Bank in Wyoming, they've been applying to get an account at the Fed for a long time, and they've been getting nothing but the runaround. And they finally got, they didn't get approved. They got denied. And so they do not want crypto intertwined with the financial system. And they said that multiple times. They've said, we are so lucky it's not more intertwined, or else the FTX, the Celsius thing would have caused destruction in the economy as far as traditional finance. And so they do not want that. They could fix this, but they just don't want to. So
yeah, no, let me just give a word of caution. 2 years from now, a year from now, there are going to be people offering 10%, 15%, 20% risk-free. Just be careful out there. Don't play on train tracks to pick up a penny. As Richard Hart says, hate him or love him. He definitely has good advice when it comes to DeFi, not your keys, not your crypto. I see CeFi maybe moving towards like a Coinbase model where, yeah, Cardano, 5% non-custodial staking, they'll give you half. Oh yeah, you want yield? Take 0.04%. It's gonna look like a bank essentially. That's at least how I see it. Or like Robinhood, it's not even really crypto. But all right, let's move on and talk about Metaverse coins. Let us know in the chat what your favorite meta coin is. There's a lot of up and comers. We're talking about Decentraland in particular today. I pulled up the chart. It's nothing crazy. I really wanted to show you this. I was just shocked when I saw this metric. I know that sounds like clickbait, but I'm actually for real here. 1 hour, it's a 1% change. 24-hour, less than a 1% change. 7-day, 1% change. 14-day, 5. Okay, now we're getting some movement. 30-day change, 146%. So the monthly just going phenomenal. If we go to the 30-day here, you can just see just stair stepping up and up and up. But if you look at the 180 or you look at the max, kind of tells a different story. Hey, now I don't actually feel so bad FOMOing into the pump there. But 100 and over around 150% for the monthly there. It's been rallying despite having a token unlock. I'm seeing just everywhere. Everyone's talking about mana. But then there is this huge token unlock coming soon. Now, Forrest, you've been in the space for a while. You've seen a lot of, I don't want to say manipulation, but you've seen sometimes things get a little bit bullish right before a token unlock. And as far as what you've seen, what would history tell you is a reason for that? What is typically happening when you see 150% gain a month before a token unlock?
Well, it is good timing with the rest of the market. We're in a bit of a bear market rally here. Bitcoin breaking some bear market structure, Ethereum breaking some bear market structure and some key downtrend lines and key moving averages. So the market overall is on its way up. And you do have to understand that these things they're still down 87 and 90. Looking at Decentraland and Sandbox as two comparable, kind of metaverse projects, they're down 87 and 90% respectively. So they were down quite a bit. They were down like 95+%. And what's really driven the prices of both of these tokens in their initial run-ups was pure speculation. And I think it's really, really important to remember that. This is pure speculation. They don't have a lot of daily active users or monthly active users. So the thing that really drove this narrative was Facebook, right? The proliferation of NFTs at first, some promising blockchain gaming stuff happening, and then Facebook changing their name to Meta. Now, as far as it goes, as far as like the token price increasing right before a token unlock, it is something that we do see. There's like, ways to manipulate token prices upwards. And that can obviously benefit investors and team members who do have those tokens unlocking soon. So obviously, that's good for those token investors and the investors that are going to have this token unlocks, and they're going to probably want to dump. So usually, a lot of times after that token unlock, you can see price coming back down. But I do want to drive home the point here that I'm not 100% on this stat. I've seen a couple of different stats on both Decentraland and Sandbox, where each of those are ranging between 600, like not 600,000, like 600 daily active users, somewhere between there and like 8,000 daily active users at peak times. And these have 1.3 and $2 billion valuations respectively. And I know it's a bear market. I know they're 90% down, but those are pretty high valuations. For reference, I have some interesting, two interesting stats on a comparable Web 2 game, Minecraft. 93 million monthly active users in 2021 with $161 million in revenue $380 million in revenue in 2021. So what we're seeing here is speculation that Decentraland and Mana can create a game in a metaverse that's very fun and attracts a lot of users, But at this point in time, they do not have those users yet. It has a ton of potential, and that's why we're seeing the speculation, but they're not there yet. So I would proceed with caution. Obviously, not financial advice. Make your own decisions on what you think the potential is.
Yeah, and I would agree with Forrest. We don't know exactly what the team's going to do with this huge unlock, with this huge vesting schedule dump. Maybe they dump. Maybe they hold on to it for 2 years. Maybe they hold on to it for 20 years. Diamond hand to the grave. We don't know. We're just speculating on what we have seen in the past. Now, I was looking at the total market cap of the Metaverse realm. It's only 8.5 billion. Sounds like a lot, but that is less than 1% of the entire crypto market cap. Around, I actually just pulled up Coin Market Cap. I'm looking at the total market cap. So yeah, 1% would be 10 billion and I think 40 million there. So 10 billion. So less than 1%. Sin City Crypto. Where do you see that metric moving? Can we get to 10% of the market cap? Can we get to 5%? Or is this just a lot of speculation on things that maybe aren't quite ready?
Well, are we talking a specific time frame or just in general?
In general, how about before the next bull run? So we'll just say over the next 2 years, 7 months.
Yeah, I definitely think so. And not because the metaverse is going to be fully built out or usable, but because there's going to be so much hype around it. And I believe this whole AI thing kind of, people grouped AI with metaverse, right? And so we saw AI tokens surge, and we've seen, like you mentioned, Mana, Sandbox, all these other metaverse tokens surge. Problem is, like when I think of metaverse, right? I think of a fully immersive walking around, not something where I open it up on my web browser like on Decentraland and Sandbox and play a game, right? People don't want to. I'm not a big gamer, but like my kids are, and if I show them, hey, play this game or play the game Minecraft or Roblox on the PS5 or the Xbox, they're going to play on the console. And so, but what I do think is positive is we're seeing a lot of these companies come in. Obviously, Meta, A, changing their name from Facebook to Meta, B, saying they're going to spend up to $10 billion in over 10 years. On top of that, they have their Quest 3 headsets coming out. So I think the hardware is slowly starting to catch up. I don't think it's there yet. I mean, I think we're going to have to get to a point where we don't have to put some clunky headset on our faces to be able to go in the metaverse. I think it has to be, I don't know what it looks like, but I think it's got to be better than that. But as far as like the market cap, people are going to continue to speculate. As we grow, you're going to see more and more of these larger companies say, all right, NFTs in the metaverse, or hey, maybe Roblox, or maybe Fortnite, their skins, maybe those will become NFTs and tradable and buy and sell. And so I think these companies are going to push the narrative forward. I don't think the hardware is there yet, but it doesn't mean people are going to speculate. It doesn't mean that people are going to dump money into projects like Mana, like Sandbox, and in anticipation of metaverse is going to blow up, AI is going to blow up. And so I definitely think it's going to happen. When, not sure, but 10 billion, 100% in the next bull run.
All right. And I kind of want to ask Vic about some of these predictions real quick. I want to share that we are sponsored by bcvault.com. Check out bcvault.com. And again, presend.io. You can send crypto securely. Now, what kind of time frame are you given this world, Vic, where you put on your haptic suit, maybe it has a special sleeve, and you are in an immersive experience? I'm looking at one report. This is a report from McKinsey & Co. They're saying metaverse spending in 2030 could be $5 trillion by 2030. Now we're just looking 7 years away. Are we too ahead of the curve? Is this 7 or less years away, or are we 2 decades away from a Ready Player One style immersive experience?
I feel like that's a pretty optimistic prediction. 5 trillion for
I agree.
metaverse.
I agree. For the record, I saw that. I was like, ooh, 5 trillion. That's a lot.
Yeah, I feel like that might have come out like a week after Meta did their presentation. It was very hype at that time. So listen, this is what I think. Decentraland is trash. Like, you play it and it's not a game. Like, it's a cool little thing. You run around your world, you buy stuff, you go into these rooms. But if you give it to a child to play, they're going to be like, what do I do? They want to play Roblox and Minecraft, and they want to play Fortnite because these games are actual games. This is the thing about the metaverse gaming sector is, for the most part, they get gaming all wrong. And that's the whole point of putting NFTs and crypto into gaming, because these games already have an economy. Think about World of Warcraft, for example. I remember playing World of Warcraft in high school ages ago, and people were getting weapons in the game and selling them for money. people were getting gold. There's still companies, if you Google it, there's still companies that get gold, they farm it, and then they sell it online. There's real transactions happening because the games themselves have users. They're fun. They're addicting. They give people reward stimulus. Like, these are real games. When you think of Decentraland, like, to me, I tried it multiple times, and every single time I last like 3 minutes on there, and I just don't know what to do. It's not really a game. It's just kind of like an open world thing. And in my opinion, Horizon Worlds, which is by Meta, is a way, way, way better version of that. And I would play that a million times over than Decentraland. I think Sandbox is a little better. Kind of had, you know, that the Minecraft aesthetic going on. Everything's kind of blocks and everything like that. You know, the voxel look. But essentially, what a metaverse game needs is to be fun. If it's not fun, it sucks. And that's just the straight truth. We shouldn't be investing our money tokens for games that are not fun, because that's really the driving factor. In order for a token for a metaverse game to have longevity, you need the game itself to have longevity. People still play World of Warcraft to this day because it's a great game. It gives you reward stimulus. It's addicting. There's a huge world to explore. It's just a solid game. That's the principle we need to be looking at. If you ignore that fact for metaverse coins, then you're just going to get rubbed for sure.
All right, and I'm gonna put myself on a limb here. This is probably just gonna bite me in the you know what. Just looking at Sandbox, has a full market cap of 1 billion, fully diluted 2 billion. It's rank 46. I could see it getting up to maybe touching around the top 20. So yeah, I mean, I think there is some upside, mostly off of their Apple partnership, but I would agree. Everybody I've talked to that's played the game has shared Vic's sentiments. So it's just, to me, it's, I don't know why Apple chose them. I would think we did kind of talk about it. Maybe just the best way to make a splash in Web3, make a splash in Metaverse could be that.
The only games that I would say are good is like Illuvium and Big Time. Those are the only two games in crypto gaming that are actually creating a game that's sick to play.
Forrest, any game you want to share?
Illuvium and Big Time are both solid games Web3 wise. And I think that's the model that we're going to have to see. Exactly what Vic said. What would be super compelling to me would be seeing Web3 play to earn mechanics introduced and applied to games like RuneScape, games like World of Warcraft. Very, very fun games that already have those very rich in-game economies. But it's so difficult for a game to come in and start from scratch and build up a player base and kind of get that virality and get that player base and catch up to games like World of Warcraft, games like RuneScape. But it would be absolutely amazing to actually have in-game economies working on the blockchain, where you could sell your weapons and sell your skins and your armor for real money or real tokens. And I think it would be it's something to look out for. And yeah, Big Time, Illuvium, both solid, good-looking games in my opinion.
Yeah, I would echo that sentiment. Gods Unchained, also good. And I would agree with Forrest. That's what I say all the time. It's a lot easier for a game company to add Web3 functionality than it is for a Web3 company to just make a killer game. It's just typically it's going to be a tough hurdle to overcome. And go ahead, Sin. We'll wrap it up.
You kind of saw, and I 100% agree with Vic, right? There's no need to put money in, but come on. People are going to look at what's trending. Metaverse is trending. AI is trending. And Meta's going to come out with this new headset. And so people are going to pour money in. Not saying they should, but that's just what they're going to do. So I agree with Vic. It's just like, you know how degenerate people are, right? I mean, I've degened a few times. I'm sure you've degened a few times in the projects you probably shouldn't have degened into. And that's us with the knowledge we have. Imagine the people that just keep hearing Metaverse. Like, oh my God, I got to FOMO into these Metaverse projects. But take a look at what Gala did, right? Their purchase of Ember Entertainment. I think we might see a little more of that. I'm not sure how that's going to translate into them, the success, and that Gala is going more towards the mobile gaming route versus, console or PC. So I guess we just have to wait and see if there's any more of those sort of acquisitions or collaborations that happen. But I do think if we do get one of these big studios, these big game studios coming into Web3 and having the resources in place to kind of take what they've done in Web2 and bring it over to Web3, I think that's what might catapult this versus something like a Gala or a Mana or a Sandbox trying to create their own game. And Vic is right. The Mana thing is trash.
And good point
And
there.
so, yeah,
The third option I forgot to explore. You are a Web3 company and you just buy a successful video game operator.
Or
Actually, probably should have done that at the top. Vic,
I
and
think
then we'll close it.
yeah, the last option is to invest in something like Engine, which is providing the framework
Yeah,
for these developers
investing
to
in the
come
blue
in,
jeans instead of buying spot gold.
or like
Investing
the
in the pickaxe
pickaxe,
there.
sell the pickaxe instead of the gold or whatever.
Yeah. Shout out to the Engine team. Yeah, they've been in the space for a long, long time. All right, but that is all. We're gonna wrap it up, and it looks like it was a close one. Forrest ended up narrowly edging it out. I kind of just sandbagged the points at the end. I thought we were just gonna go quickly. So who knows? But Forrest won with an asterisk. Forrest, feel free, leave us with some parting thoughts. Let us know in the chat what you think about the score.
Yeah. So obviously, go follow and subscribe to all the guys here. The main channel here at Around the Blockchain, BitBoys channel, Vic and Sin City Crypto, myself as well. Guys, we're in a bear market rally now. Beware. Things are looking solid, but just keep an eye on that on the overall legacy economy. We could get a little bit of a run up here, but look, the yield curve is super inverted. Just beware. Things are flipping bullish. Yeah, let's ride it out, but be very careful and take care of yourselves over the next year. It does look a little bit dicey. So with that, we'll end it there.
Great advice. And the 4-year cycle says the top's at like October 25. We're still a long ways away. And I'm going to save this for the end because you're still watching. You're one of the real ones. We're one of the super fans here. Make sure you sub. We just checked the numbers. Only like half of you guys that watch these things regularly are sub. So please go ahead and hit that sub button. It doesn't cost you anything. And that's all we got. Make sure you are sub to everyone's channel here. Link is in the description. Go there right now. Go to their channel. Hit sub. That's all we got. Until next time. Easy out.